and I met my students only last week on Saturday, and I'm so happy to see you all. And this is me. I'm back, fat and happy, because I was having a wonderful vacation, and I hope one day you will have it too. One day this summer, meaning. Another piece of news is that we have arrived at module 4, which is basically the last module of this course. Can you imagine that? Yeah. Right, yeah. So there are only 6 sessions left, 6 weeks of hard work, and you will be able to complete the Business English course. Do you have any interesting news or pieces of information for me today, or should we proceed? Okay, these are questions to be addressed probably at the end. I will tell you later. Yeah, probably not during this session. I'm not very much sure about that. Okay? Let's move on. And we have 3 definitions on our, you can see 3 definitions on your screens. And I would like you to guess what all these definitions are about. So all of them define one concept. All of them define one word. Which concept do you think it is? I will read out the definitions for you. The first one says, it is not just part of the game, it is the game. Then the next one says, it leads to community, understanding, and intimacy. Any ideas what intimacy means? Intimacy. Can anyone tell me what it means in the chat box? It leads to community, understanding, and intimacy. If I tell you the adjective for that word, you will be able to tell me the meaning for intimacy. So the adjective, intimacy is basically the noun, and the adjective is intimate. Intimate. And if you do some Russian translation, you'll be able to get the word. Like, she's my intimate friend. She's my close friend. Very good. Thank you, Ritsima. So intimacy stands for very, very close relationship. And the third definition says it is the human connection and the key to personal and career success. So all these 3 sentences are about one thing. What thing do you think it is? Bartoli is asking me to give the first letter. I'll give you the first letter. It's a C. Probably after this, it will be easy for you to guess the word. So, which thing do you think stands for close relationship, for understanding, for intimacy? Yes, Mariam, you're spot on. That's communication. Partly it can't be curiosity, because curiosity is just one way. You're curious about a person or you're curious about a thing. But communication is interpersonal. So Mariam, you're spot on. Kudos to you. Good job. No problem, Vartiter. We have just started. Communication. Very nice. Do you know any other words for communication? Do you know any other words for communication? Conversation. Very good. Any other word? There is a word that starts with an I. Inter. I'll tell you the first part. The first part is inter. Interview. I love that. Okay, but that's not the interview. How would you say, for example, running, jumping, speaking, talking? All of these are what? All of these are, like, for example, when you jump, Interaction, very good. I was trying to elicit that word. Nice. All of these are actions, Vahram. And I was talking about interaction, which is basically another word for communication. I'll give you a minute, and I want you to think about your own definition of communication. And then I want you to come online and share it with all of us. What's your definition of communication? Here we have 3 definitions. Your definition does not necessarily have to be close to this. You can write or you can say whatever you want and whatever you think is appropriate about communication. 1 minute for this. So your time is up, and I'm curious to hear what your definitions for communication are. Who would like to be the first to share their definition? Any volunteers? If you don't want to speak, you're welcome to share that in the chat box. That's okay. Okay, so exchanging opinions, thoughts, and trying to talk about something. Thank you, Mariam. Vahram, do you want to share your definition for communication with us by speaking? Do you want to come online? Okay, so you're unmuted and you're welcome to share your definition. Hello.
Hello, everyone.
Good to hear your voice.
I think
How are you doing
communication
today?
is communication is information exchange between two persons, or maybe two different cities, countries.
Okay, thank you. Just one question. So why do you highlight number 2? Can there be more than 2 people in communication?
Sorry, what is number 2?
Can there be more than 2 people in communication? Because you said communication is information exchange between 2 people. So my question is about the number. Can there be 3 people, or can there be more than 2 people?
More than 2.
Yeah, so yeah, depends of course. Thank you very much, Vahram. Thanks for sharing it with us. Okay, so Rissima highlights the importance of nonverbal communication. And anyone else who wants to share their definition of communication? Christine, what do you think? Christine, Gohar. Gohar, do you want to speak? And do you want to share your definition of communication? Gohar? Gohar is probably busy with something. Right, if there is nothing to add, we can go on. And my next question is about the forms of communication. What different forms of communication do you know? Different forms of communication. Okay, so Susanna says formal communication, Noura mentions business communication, and Bartoli highlights informal, official, and formal forms of communication, verbal. Okay, Susanna, perhaps we could start with you. Can you write in the chat box, or even you can come online and you can share with us what you think formal communication is, the one you have just provided in the chat box. So do you want to come online, or do you want to share your answers in the chat box? Susanna Harunyan? Okay, please do. So let's see how she defines formal communication. Try not to use the internet or any other sources. Try just to rely on your own wording when you give the definition. So verbal communication is not a form, but it's a type. Is that what you mean, Vahya? Still waiting for Susanna. Okay. So anyone who wants to mention the forms of communication they know, and anyone who wants to define them? For example, here we have formal communication, we have informal communication, and we have official communication. So you think, Ritsima, that verbal and nonverbal communication are forms of communication? Okay, what is nonverbal communication? Can you define it just with one sentence or in a few words? Can you just speak about nonverbal?
Yes, well, nonverbal communication is a form of communication when you do not use words.
Exactly. So, Mariam, it's not just written communication, it's when you communicate with the help of gestures, yes, Barclay, as you have mentioned, or with the help of signs or pictures or illustrations. Vahyam here identifies nonverbal communication with written communication. Ritsima, is he right?
Yes, I think it is.
Is nonverbal communication written communication as well? Can it be a kind of?
If we define verbal communication as when you speak with words, then yes, written is the form of nonverbal communication.
Okay. Bartikar has mentioned eye contact. What do you think? Is it a type of nonverbal communication?
Yes, I think so.
Okay, thank you. Good. If there are no other comments on forms or types of communication, I will proceed. And here we have different answers. Of course, these are not all correct answers. And this list is not restricted. You can add more items to this. So let's see, we have oral or spoken communication. This is two people communicate with each other in speaking. Written communication, which, as you have seen, is different from nonverbal communication. So, for instance, when you write a letter or send an email, this is considered to be a kind of written communication, but it's not considered to be nonverbal communication. Can you tell me the answer? Can you tell me why it is so? What is the key word in nonverbal communication? Yes, thank you very much, Ritsima. Spot on, yeah. Because we mean communication without words. It's not only that you don't speak, it's just that you don't use words. So written communication is different to nonverbal communication. We also have visual communication, and we have face-to-face communication. What's the difference between these two? For example, Vartitesh, let's listen to you. Can you tell us what you think? What the difference is between visual communication and face-to-face communication? Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Thank you, I'm fine too. I think that visual communication is, like I have already mentioned, eye contact, when you contact with each other, eye to eye, and face-to-face communication. Face-to-face communication when you speak with each other, or when you see each other, for example, with the help of Skype, Viber, maybe that is called face-to-face communication.
Okay, so you think that, for example, now I'm sitting at the computer and you're sitting at yours, and we're having.
See you, but you can't see me. Yeah. I'm face-to-face communication with you, but you only hear me.
So you think this is, we're having right now kind of face-to-face communication, is that what you mean?
If you could see me either in this case, maybe yes.
Okay, I think Vartuhi has something to add to this. Vartuhi, you're online with us. Hello.
Good evening, all.
Good evening.
I just would like to, hi Vartiterjan, just to would like to add something to Vartiter's opinion. I think that face-to-face is something that is real. When somebody has an opportunity to see in front of each other, maybe in front of each other, but they are real in one sitting room maybe, and they have face-to-face meetings. They can even touch each other. But visual communication, maybe without words, you can just make a sign, just wink your eyes or something else. It's also visual communication. I know face-to-face from our past classes when Mrs. Murajan called us to her face-to-face meetings, and they were real. So it came, I know this word from our classes.
Yeah, so, and she was spot on actually, because face-to-face communication implies that people, communicators, have to be physically present in the same setting, in the same room. So if I had the pleasure of having all of you here in this room, we would be having a kind of face-to-face communication. But unfortunately, right now we're deprived of that pleasure. Yeah, as Ritsima has mentioned, we're having computer-mediated communication. We're having communication through computer. Anyone wants to add something about visual communication? Thank you, ladies. You were wonderful today. Anyone else who wants to add their opinion or who wants to comment on visual communication? I wonder what Angin thinks. Angin? Hello.
Hello, good
evening. Good to hear your voice.
At first, I didn't understood what is visual communication, and can we separate that from others? But I think visual communication for all previous types, for example, written communication or maybe a non-verbal too, and it is so close to computer-mediated communication, I think, because at the time of visual communication, we can use computer as well, or projector, or papers, or something like that. To express opinion or information.
Okay. Right. So you think that computer-mediated communication is a type or form of visual communication. Did I get you right?
Yes, I think.
Okay. Anyone else? Albert, I wonder what you think. Do you want to come online? Though I can see that you do not have your microphone on today, but probably can just switch it on in a matter of seconds. So do you want to come online and share your opinion with us? Thank you, Angin. I will unmute you. Albert? Don't be shy. If you're shy, you won't be able to practice it. Okay, so Albert doesn't want to comment on this. Of course, Christine. Yeah, sure. Can you please have your microphone on? Because I can just see that you don't have your microphone on. It will be our pleasure to listen to you. Looking forward. And the rest as well. Susanna, Satanik, Zovinar, please everyone switch your microphones on so that you can share your sweet voices with us. Christine, can you hear me?
Hello. Yes, I hear.
Great. Your voice.
I want to thank you. I'm fine. What about you?
I'm fine too. So I wonder what you think about visual communication.
I wanted to add my opinion about listening communication.
Okay.
I think that in order to be an effective communicator, you must first learn to be a good listener. And this may come as a surprise, but oftentimes listening is the most important part of communicating. I want to say that listening isn't the same as simply hearing. When we listen to someone speak, we are engaged with them and making an effort to understand exactly what they are trying to say.
Okay.
And it's important to know that there is a difference between simply hearing and listening. And saying listening, I mean focus on the person speaking, make sure that I understand him or her, and wait for my turn to speak, show interest, repeat what was said in their own words, in my own words. And I think we can say that listening may be a form of communication.
Thank you very much, Christine. You've been so much detailed and precise about that. Of course, indeed, it's very important to be a good listener in order to be a good communicator or to be a good speaker, as you have mentioned. Thank you so much for sharing this with
us. Thank you too for listening to me.
Yeah. Okay, so let's move on and let's find out what visual communication is, right, and the rest of the things, right? So visual communication is basically communication during which the message is conveyed through charts, through illustrations, through pictures. Do you know what a chart is? Chart. For example, a table is a type of chart or a graph, diagrams, illustrations, pictures, right? So instead of conveying the message in verbal form, instead of using the words to share the information, people use charts, people use infographics, people use diagrams to convey the message. For example, in the streets, very often you see advertisements on large boards. How do you call, by the way, these large boards? We have talked about that. Do you remember the word? It starts with a B. Let's see who remembers it. Thank you, Mariam and Varchuhi and Vartikar. Billboard. Thank you, Ripsime. Very good spelling. Billboard. So billboards are a type of visual communication because you see the message not through the text, but you can see it through the picture. Okay? Do you have any questions about these types of communication? Or do you have anything to add? Okay. Oh my God, Satanik, right. So hopefully we'll have it fixed so that we can hear your voice. I wonder what you think about business communication. If I'm not mistaken, Noura mentioned business communication. So my next question is, how do companies communicate with their employees and what methods can you think of? For example, I know that most of you work for different organizations and companies. Christine, could you be more specific? What does conference mean? Is it a conference or conference something? Conference what? Conference. No, what am I doing? I'm trying to call. Yes, conference call, right. Christine, if I unmute you, can you tell us what conference call is? Huh? You're online.
Yes. I work in my place work. We often do conference calling because it's online working, and we need to communicate with each other, and we have only one way online.
So why do you make that conference? I'm sorry to interrupt you, Christine. Why do you make that conference call? Because you are in one country and your colleagues and partners are in other countries, right? Is that the reason?
Yes. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So instead of visiting them and paying a lot of money and polluting the environment, you do a conference call.
Yes, you're right.
Thank you. Ripsima, do you want to elaborate more on what do you do in your company or organization?
Well, I work in hospital, so we have 5-minute meetings every morning to check patients that we admitted last night or during last day. So they actually do not last 5 minutes. They usually last more than 15 minutes, but I don't know why they're called 5-minute meetings.
Christina, you're reading my mind. I was just going to say that whenever I go to hospital to wait for the doctor, they say she's having this 5-minute meeting, but then it lasts like hours. Yeah, and then you have to wait for her for a long period of time. Okay, any other ways of communicating? How do you communicate with your patients, for instance?
Face-to-face communication, and sometimes we need visual communication too, with image and some charts, I guess, when we explain something.
Right, so it's a kind of blended communication because you resort to visual communication to explain something, right?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Right, anyone else? Svetlana, do you want to tell us how you communicate with your colleagues or with your boss? Hello.
Hello. Yes, I
How do you communicate with your boss? Where do you work, Svetlana?
I work in a university. And Octavia.
I use
this method in her lesson, in the lesson, during lessons.
Okay, what method do you use? I'm sorry, I couldn't catch that part. So when you communicate with your colleagues, Svetlana, when you communicate with the rector of the university, how do you communicate? Do you call him? Do you go to his house and knock at the door and demand that you should see him face to face? What do you do?
No, we are we are sent there and talk.
Okay, so you just sit and talk together. So you have face. What kind of communication is that?
Face of face.
Okay, let's see if you are correct. Can you read it?
Face-to-face communication.
Face-to-face
communication.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Right, so let's see what other types of business communication we have. I guess Diana mentioned emails and phones. That's another type of communication. They're not face-to-face, but very effective as well. Here we have the types of business communication, but I'm going to ask you to work on them because we have the letters given. Sometimes it's only the first letter which is given. Sometimes it's different letters. So I'll give you 2 minutes for this, and I want you to find out all the words. Let's do number 1 together because it's easy, and I know you can do that. And Christine is spot on. Gaina, we can't have private because here we have 1, 2, 3, 4 letters after P. So I think it's Christine's answer. Paper-based communication is print communication. And Vahran, we can't have paper because here we have repetition. It won't be interesting when you say paper-based communication is paper communication, right? So it's a bit repetitive. But paper-based communication is communication which is printed. Can you give me one example of print communication? One example of print communication. Any examples? Reports. Thank you, Christine. Any other? Application. Very good. If it's printed, because nowadays we also deal with online applications. CVs, right. Letters, indeed. Letters. Okay, let's use double T. Double T. Okay. Anything else? What is your favorite type of print communication? Is it print communication? Satanik says SMS is a type of print communication. Do you agree with Satanik? Ladies and gentlemen, what do you think? It's digital, indeed. It's not print because it's not printed. It's not printed on paper, Satanik. That's why it's digital. It's not print. Yeah. Posters are another type of print communication. Okay, so I'll give you 2 minutes to complete the rest of the definitions, and then we'll be online sharing them with each other. But please don't share your answers in the chat box. Okay, I'll give you 10 more seconds and then we'll start checking. Okay, So we already know that number 1 is print communication. Let's see what Sirpuhi thinks about number 2. Sirpuhi, are you online with us?
Yes, hi. I think that is inner oral communication.
Inner oral. Can you write in the chat box what you mean?
Please.
So we need one word. Sirpuhi.
Okay, sorry. So somebody has wrote already internal.
Mariam, and do you agree with Bartuhi that is internal communication?
No, internal is absolutely different thing.
It's a communication which takes place inside the company.
Inside the company.
Yeah.
Okay, that is from Latin. It comes. I know about this word, but could not guess.
That's internal communication.
Yes.
Inside the company, that's internal communication. Can you think of an antonym to internal?
Antonym, external.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Albert, can you write the answer to number 3? Albert Simonian, can you write in the chat box the answer to number 3? Okay, Gayane, can you do that? Gayane Bosnian. Okay. Mariam thinks it's downward. Very good. So downward communication, you're spot on too, Rixima, is communication from managers to junior staff. In American English, we call it top-down communication. It's when the managers decide on the changes or on the decisions to be taken within the company, and they share these messages with the junior staff. They share these messages with coordinators, with assistants, and so on. So this is called downward communication. That's when decision comes from the where? From where? Where does the decision come from? Can you guess the word? A 3-letter word. From the top. Very good. So the decision comes from the top. Yeah. Thank you. Number 4, Vartiker, what do you think the answer is? Vartiker? I have unmuted you. Vartiker, are you with us? Or have you left us? Virtually you are with us. Physically you might not be with us. Vartiker, what do you think?
I think that is the antonym of the previous variant. It's upward.
Very good, and you're right. It's upward communication. Can you read the definition?
Up. It means that maybe my workers will address to me, and I will try to transfer their speech or their suggestions to the top, to the leaders or to the boss.
To the management.
To the manager, yes.
Indeed, right. So this is called upward communication. Upward communication. Very good. Thank you. And what do you think about number 5, Vahyam?
It's a face-to-face communication.
It's face-to-face. Is there contact? And number 6, Satani, can you write it? In the chat box. A private network only for the organization staff is known as So let's okay, who can help? Satanik, Noura, Christine, Mariam, intranet. So you think that's intranet, not intermittent. I wonder what it means. Yeah, intranet. It's interesting. We have the internet, which is for everyone. And whenever you want to find an answer to something, to a question, or whenever you want to find a solution to a problem, you go to the internet, right? But in a company or in an organization, when you want to find out something about the company's policy or about the regulations, Indeed, it's Netkintant, Bahram, yes. Or about the brochure, or you want to find out some, you know, templates or forms or brochures, you go to the intranet. That's internal network. These are the answers, and you were just spot on. Congratulations. Do you have any questions about these words or any of these words? Which is your favorite? Face-to-face, okay. Intranet, okay. And I'm really impressed to see, Rixima, that in your hospital you use that. You must have a very developed infrastructure in your hospital. Face-to-face against satanic, indeed, it's important. Okay. And 4 more types and examples of business communication. And I wonder if you can tell me what they mean. For example, a forum. Mariam, do you want to tell us what a forum is? You can write or you can come online to share your opinion with us. A forum. By the way, when I was going through the Moodle, I saw that you participated in some forums. So you posted in the forums and you responded to each other's threads. So you must be familiar with the concept. Anyone who can help, Mariam? Interactive meeting, okay. So by interactive, you mean online, Mariam? Is that what you mean? When employees or mates are gathering and sharing their thoughts. Christine, you have something to say? You're online?
Yes, I know about forum.
Mm-hmm.
I know 2 meanings of this word.
Yeah.
One, we can understand as a place where meetings takes place.
Mm-hmm.
And a meeting or medium where ideas and views on a particular issues can be exchanged.
Okay.
I think forum and briefing is same.
You mean briefing?
Yeah, it's also exchanging, yes?
Forum is discussion. So you said when opinions can be exchanged, so that's a discussion. And as Bahram has mentioned, it can be both face-to-face and it can be interactive or online. So for example, you can gather in a room, in a hotel room, and you can have a forum on something. It can be a face-to-face forum when you see all the participants of the meeting, or you can have a forum in the Moodle, or you can have a forum in an online platform when you take part in discussion.
Well, thank you for explaining.
Thank you for coming online and sharing it with us. Thank you. Briefing. Who wants to talk about a briefing? Vartika, do you want to talk what a briefing is?
Brief, it means short. Maybe briefing is short, some kind of paper which briefs something or some information in brief situation.
So Noura has written it. So brief, you're a linguist, Vartika. Thank you for delving so deep into the root of the word. You're spot on. Brief means succinct, it means short. So briefing is a short meeting or is a short conversation. So for instance, Noura has translated it into Armenian, Jepazaruz. Yeah, so very, very short and concise meeting or conversation. Thank you. So you're spot on. A blog. Who wants to speak or to write about a blog? Gohar Mosisyan, you haven't been talking too much today. Do you want to share what you think about blogs with us? Gohar? Gohar Mosisyan? Okay. Mariam, it's a shame you don't have a microphone and you can't come online. Angin, yes, please. We're all here.
Blog is internet resource that people use to extend information or invitation about some events or something like that. I have a blog. Recently, I opened one blog which I will use for Nedgravel. How will be
engage. Can you read it for me?
Investment in my region, for my region.
Wow. So we know blogs, we know business blogs, which as you have mentioned, are designated to promote certain products or services. And thank you, Rixime, for mentioning video blogs, vlogs. So these are when you blog, but when you blog through video, through YouTube channel, and people can see you, and they can talk, and they can ask you questions or comment on your blogs. For example, recently we have had a vlogger, a very famous vlogger, Nes Daily, visit Armenia. I think you might have seen some videos he filmed about Armenian water, about Armenian people being fond of chess and learning about chess and stuff like that. So he's a famous blogger, and he's also a famous videographer, which basically means he can film videos, right, and he can post very interesting blogs. Yeah, he was awesome indeed. I agree with you. Does anyone else have a blog? So it's great to see that Angin has a blog. Yeah, thank you, Varsity, for reminding me to switch on the lights. Hold on. So does anyone else have a blog besides Angin? Not yet. Okay, sorry about the typo. Pleasure. Okay. Let's move on. And we have one word left, which is a wiki. Nora, can you tell us what a wiki is? Okay, Svetlana. Now, if I unmute you, can you tell us what a wiki is? Just in your words. There is no need to use the internet. Svetlana?
Yes, the wiki is a website that also collaborative educating of its contacts and structured by its users.
Okay, so wiki is a, how would you pronounce this word? Svetlana, what is this? I'm sorry.
Website.
Very good. So wiki is a website where we can find educational content and where we can edit information. Thank you, Bahram.
Wikipedia. Wikipedia.
It's a type of wiki.
Yeah, exam Wikipedia.
Right. Or something. Sorry. Okay. Right. So yeah, so wiki basically is a site or is a platform where knowledge or where additional information is shared. And what is very important, the information you share is editable. For example, if I have shared something and Bahram knows that I've shared the wrong date, he might be entitled to correct it or to add some more information to that. So all these four examples of business communication are great tools for doing business. Forums, briefings, blogs, and wikis. I wonder which of these do you use most often at work? So in hospitals, for example, Maxima, I know you're a doctor, and Serpuli, you're a doctor too. Which of these do you use most often for doing business or for maintaining communication with your patients or colleagues? A briefing, okay, right. How about the rest of the people online? So those who work for companies or for organizations, which of these do you use more often? I use blogs a lot, and I have to share information for people to find out more, and I use forums a lot, but I don't think I use wikis or briefings a lot. So that depends, yeah, blogs and wiki. Nora, good. Yeah, so basically everything depends on the type of work you do. Let's move on, and we have 3 sentences where the words we have just learned are missing. So the missing words are 3, but we have learned wiki, blog, briefing, and what was the other one? A forum. So I want you to fill in the gaps with the 3 of the 4 words. Just 1 minute for this. Okay, so you're so quick. Even 1 minute is too long for you, which is great. So I hope all your answers are correct. Satani, can you tell us the answer for number 1? Very good. So most business use blog or blogs. What do you think? 1 blog or several blogs? Because we're talking about businesses, indeed, blogs, to market the products of their company. And sometimes, I'm not sure whether it is the case in Armenia, but in other countries, they hire very famous blog writers who can promote the products and services of their company through their blogs. How about number 2, Susanna? What do you think? Susanna Harunian, number 2. Susanna thinks it's a forum. So forum is very, very large. And here we have managers, which means that we have a company. So it's a briefing. Yes, Noura, it's a briefing. Gayane Bartuhi, you're spot on. Good job. And the final one, let's see. Albert, what do you think? Okay, so Vartuhi thinks it's for Albert, you're back because I was asking so many questions and you were simply ignoring them. I was so sad. Wiki, Albert, good job. It's a knowledge sharing site, yeah? It's not a forum because forum is designated more for discussion rather than sharing knowledge. So Wiki is a knowledge sharing site. Thank you very much. Here are the correct answers. Okay, and my next question is, what do the following pictures share in common? So we have 5 pictures. You think these are logos? Ripsima thinks all of them stand for social networking website. Albert, what do you think? I'm so excited to have you back. Do you agree with Ripsima or do you agree with Vartuhi? Social site, that's what Vartuhi thinks. Okay, let's see what each of them stands for. So what is this? You think these are blogs. What is this? That's Google Plus. Ripsima, can you tell us what Google Plus is?
Well, it's a platform like Facebook, and you can share some links there, put some images of you, write something. It's very familiar with Facebook.
I want to have a Google Plus account. What should I have?
If you have a Gmail account, then you have a Google Plus account too already.
So automatically you get that.
Yes.
Email account, you automatically have a Google Plus account. Thank you. How about this beautiful bird here? What do you think it stands for? Which social networking website? Twitter, Serpuhi, can you tell us more about Twitter?
I know this is a kind of these social networks where you can share your pictures, opinions, something like that.
Satanik has provided us with the keyword blog. So Twitter is a kind of micro. Micro means small, meaning micro, but micro. It's a kind of micro blogging site. So do you know any people who are famous for their tweets, who are famous Twitter users? All the presidents, indeed, Vartuhi. Serpuhi, do you follow anyone in Twitter? Do you follow?
Never.
Okay.
Never.
Okay. So it's interesting. We say Twitter. Let me write down the word for you, Twitter. And the post you make in Twitter is called tweet, but the spelling is different. Pay attention to the spelling. It's T-W-E-E-T, tweet. Okay? You make a tweet, and Ripsima has a valid point because she says you can't write long text. You have limited word count. It's 120, if I'm not mistaken. You have to write a text, the number of characters of which is limited. Okay? What do you think this thumb stands for? Yeah, in medicine, certainly. Facebook, right. Who wants to talk about Facebook? We have a new user, Naira. Do you want to talk about Facebook? Do you want to tell us?
I like Facebook very much. Sorry, I was a little bit busy. Is it okay? Is it okay?
No problem.
Sentence.
Okay. Happy to have you here.
I am in Facebook during 9 years. Several days ago was my 9th anniversary in Facebook, so I'm so how to say? Sorry.
You're so happy, yeah? Naira, we lost you? We lost Naira. I hope she's okay. Nothing happened to her. Noura, just a few words about Facebook.
Yes, I am here. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm fine too. Thank you. Facebook is social media. It's a very large media because in Facebook there are many people in different countries. It's a global website, and Facebook is unlimited. In Facebook we can share our images, videos, other information about anything. And it's for me it's amazing. It's we can spend time in Facebook and we can do work with Facebook too.
Okay. That's interesting because some people think that it is time consuming. Thank you for telling me, Christine. Let me find Dangin. Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Noura. So Facebook, Facebook is effective because it can be used both for social communication and for business. Does anyone, yeah, you're in Facebook, FBI, know about you, right? Yeah. Does anyone know what this symbol stands for? Instagram, okay. And Susanna Harunyan, do you want to write just in a few words what Instagram is? You want to write in the chat box what Instagram is for. So is it again a social platform for, it's for, is it for work or is it for, Sirpri says it's for posting pictures. Okay. And we can use it for work too, especially for advertisements and for marketing. Yes, Ruxima. Yeah, for sharing pictures, indeed, Susanna. Thank you. And this brings us to the last symbol on the slide. What is this? LinkedIn. You must be very, very educated in social networking websites. Ruxima, congratulations. So, Varkuli, do you want to tell us what LinkedIn is? Varkuli? I'm sorry, let me unmute you. Michael, hello.
Okay, I just speaking, sorry. I have an account in LinkedIn. It's like a it gives you opportunity to find out a good job. You can share your position, you can share your CV, you can share your attachments. Maybe you have some maybe certificates or diplomas you can show all in your face, no, not face, but timeline. And your future employees will come online, will see your site, your website, your account, and maybe they will provide you some work.
So they will call the job.
International network. It's a famous world. It's very famous and it's spread it worldwide, and it has a lot of users.
Yeah,
around the world.
I agree.
It's very famous abroad in foreign countries. It's very famous.
So it connects a lot of people, and one of the perks of using LinkedIn is that you can get a job there. So
you could imagine. Even I have found my friend who has been lost for 10 years.
Wow.
I imagine to find out him in LinkedIn. He was in Tokyo. I found him in Tokyo.
You see how lucky you are, right, to be a member of social networking website. So yeah, LinkedIn is a great professional website, and it helps you connect with the leading professionals in your field, and it also boosts your employability opportunities. Yeah, Vartited, and if you have your account in LinkedIn, chances that you will get a better job are increasing. So go for that.
We have also the consultant who just check the CVs of their future employees, and they check out, do they have LinkedIn accountants or not?
Do they have a LinkedIn account or not? Right.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you so much. You were very, very informative about LinkedIn. And my next question is, what are the most popular international social networking websites in Armenia? So we have talked about not 6 but 5 social networking websites, but probably not all of them are popular with users, but all the users. Which are the most popular ones? Who wants to talk about this? Bahram, if I unmute you, would you talk about that? Bahram?
We didn't talk about Viber, also Skype.
Viber and Skype. So Viber
WhatsApp.
is a social networking website, or is it an application?
Also social networking. Communication. We can say communication website.
Communication application rather than
We can talk. We can write. Also share pictures.
Okay, right. Can you share pictures with all Viber users or just with the users with Facebook?
If you want to share to all of them, you can do it.
Okay. Right. So Viber, Facebook, and you mentioned also Skype, right? So do many people really use Skype?
Google is not widespread in Google Plus.
Google Plus. Okay. Thank you, Bahram. How about the next question? How often do you use the social media and why do you use that? So, for example, we have just learned that Noura uses the social media because she likes being in touch with her friends and she also likes doing work in the social media. How about you? Varkavi, let me unmute you and you will tell us how often you use that.
The thing is that I am also responsible for sharing the photos or videos of works which have been done by our branches. So I have to be online 2 or 3 times per day, and I share our work in the case it may be photo or video by Viber, by Facebook's Messenger or other medias.
Wow.
It's a little bit difficult because you should share not only videos and photos, but also description of these works.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
But it's very helpful because otherwise I should do it by computer, which is much more difficult.
Mm-hmm. So do you use a corporate account for that, Varkavi?
No, we have no such a network yet. We just use our personal accountant, maybe my personal Facebook or my personal Viber, but they promise to do something like that very soon, because otherwise it is very difficult for us to do our work.
Yeah, it is. It doesn't make any sense, right? Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Varkavi. Ripsima, do you want to elaborate more on this? So you have mentioned that you find more content in your specialization.
Yes, on Instagram and on Facebook there are a lot of blogs about medicine, and I can stay updated always about every new research about some medical things. Yes.
Yeah,
stay informed always.
Yeah,
yes, and I get notified about events that I'm interested in, so it's very helpful.
Mm-hmm. So you're always informed, you're in tune with the news, and you can keep track of that.
Yes, yes.
Good. Naira, can you tell us what you have shared with us? Naira, are you back?
Yes, sorry.
No problem.
My son, I have found a site where you can find websites. The first place is YouTube. It is maybe for arts and entertainment. But anyway, Facebook is in the first place for social networking. Then Odnoklassniki and others.
Okay.
In Facebook, I can communicate with my pupils, also my students, and I have created groups, also a page for them, chemistry, in iTalk. So I post their useful information concerning their lessons, and via Messenger we have groups, and I put there some solutions, some problems, or I guide them how to solve a problem. It works really.
Yeah.
Because during the lesson, during that 45 minutes, we are not able to solve all the problems. Problems.
Yeah.
So we use it, and it works really. I'm so happy helping them by this way, and some of them are free to ask me anything, and I even feel good. Sometimes it is difficult because I do it during not working time, but anyway, I help them when they ask anything with great pleasure.
I'm so happy to see that you're such a devoted teacher, Naira, and you're doing so much hard work for your students. Thank you for being a teacher like that. And we have come to the last question in our previewing discussion, which is, do you worry about likes? That is to say, the number of likes you have received for your posts or for your pictures in the social media. Who wants to elaborate on this? Rixima doesn't worry at all. Susanna doesn't worry. Okay. Is there anyone who worries? Serpilli wants to talk about this. Yes, Serpilli, we're all ears.
There are some pictures or some these sentences which you can share and you want to get likes for that. But usually I enter the Facebook very rare, and if I see my, for example, teachers' pictures or their thoughts, I will like all of them to let them understand that I saw, I read, and I liked it.
Yeah, and
so some kind of respect it is, and by that I can show them my this respect to them.
Okay.
Nothing more than that.
Because it's liking the pictures, so people say it's like being in conversation when you and I are you're saying something, and I give this, this nod, I say, right, it's. So when you like a message or a post or a picture, it means you have seen that. So you somehow, that's a very valid point, you somehow communicate.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you for mentioning that. Okay, so he sometimes worries about the likes she gets, probably because of your job, Tuhi. Varhan does not have an addiction, and Rixima posts very rarely in social networking websites. So I guess you get most of the likes because people rarely can see whatever you post, and then when they see that, they immediately tend to like that. Okay, let's move on. And we're going to watch a video, and the video is called What's on Your Mind? What's on your mind? I wonder what you think the video is about. Any ideas what it can be about? Any guesses?
Can I speak?
Of course, yeah. You are already speaking, Naira. Okay.
Thank you. Maybe we will watch a video about the problems of social networking, because sometimes I notice that I am in Facebook and I should work, and it is really difficult. Psychologically, I need a help.
So you're addicted to Facebook. Is that what you mean? You're addicted.
Sometimes, I look at time and I decided don't be at Facebook more than 30 minutes. And so I look at quickly and go out, because some people will write and I should answer because of that.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's very interesting, Facebook.
Yeah, and it is very addictive. it makes you visit it again and again, right? Again and again. So yeah, interesting guess. Here is the link to the video, but before you watch the video, I want you to answer 3 questions. The first question is, what status updates does the man in the video make? How does the man feel at each stage? It should be feel, not feeling, sorry, at each stage of the film. And why don't other users want to get notifications from him? So 3 questions about his statuses, about his feelings, and about the users who don't want to get notifications from him. Are you ready to watch the video? Okay, so, right, please watch it and then we'll discuss the answers. Okay, so do you think we can discuss the answers to the questions? Yeah, that's a meaningful video, isn't it? Yeah, it gives food for thought. I can see 3 people have already watched it. How about the others? Good, right, okay. So Mariam, can you write briefly in the chat box the answer to the first question? What status update? Update means refreshing the status. Does the man make? Yes. So he updates his statuses concerning his life changes and life highlights. For example, when he's single, when he's having the relationship, when he's lost his job, or when he gets tired of his job. So all the important moments in his life are shared in Facebook. Christine, what do you think about the second question? How does he feel at each stage of the film? Can you speak about that?
I'm not sure. I don't know what you feel. Maybe it helps him don't mind so much sharing of his mind. It helps him don't think about this and don't fall down.
Okay, let's see what doctors think, because Serpil has even diagnosed him. She says he's feeling worse and worse. Serpil?
He had finally depression.
He's gradually falling into depression. Is that what you mean?
Means all that information that came, it was breaking him gradually, and his life was broken finally. So he could not continue his life by this usual way. So depression is for that exact diagnosis.
Mariam has made a point about being motivated by the likes he gets. Would you agree with Mariam?
All are depression symptoms, major depressive syndrome. That diagnosis exists. So all these symptoms, don't want to talk to somebody, cannot sleep, looks tired, hopeless, and many other something.
Okay, thank you. Do you agree with Serpil?
I think that he just made up the illusion of happiness. And he tried to ignore the problems that he really had. But eventually he had to admit it, that the life sucks. So in the end, yes, I think that he was depressed, very depressed.
Right, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, why do you think people, other users, don't want to get notifications from the man? When he says, when he makes that post about life being terrible, why don't other users want to get notifications from him? Why do they just click on the option, hide all notifications from that user? What's the reason for that? Who wants to comment on this, either in chat box or by coming online? We are not interested in him. Bartiter, do you want to talk about this?
Yes, of course. I think he's very addicted to the network, and in this case, he became boring and also bored himself, and because of this, he became a lonely man, and all his colleagues didn't want to communicate with him because he was always in the social sites updating some uninteresting I don't know, statuses, or he didn't want to live in real life, and because of this, people didn't want to communicate with him.
Yes, Svetlana is saying he was having a virtual life. Do you think people in Facebook like seeing happy faces? And because everyone seems to be happy in Facebook, they don't like reading sad information and
You
seeing
just can spend some several minutes in social sites to be aware of some things, but not addicted to the social sites. You must live your own life in not virtual way, but your own way. You must live your own way of life.
Okay. So
Just spend some time with your friends, not in the social sites, but in real life.
So you shouldn't have a virtual life.
And also, he was sitting with his wife and didn't want to speak to her or didn't want to eat something. He just updated that he was eating sushi with his wife, and that was boring because he was just writing in front of the computer and his wife was eating chips, being bored.
Okay. Yeah. Do you agree with Rixima's comment, Partiter, that everyone wants to see bright pics in Facebook and happy statuses?
Not always bright. It depends on your mood, maybe.
Yeah, okay. So probably you are depressed and then you see people are happy and you get more depressed. Is that what you mean? Yeah. Yeah. Right. Okay, so let's move on. So these are some words and expressions that were used in the film. Quit my dead-end job. I'm going to tell you what they mean because we're running out of time. Quit my dead-end job means quit my boring job. So a job that doesn't have any promotion perspective. So very, very boring and very meaningless job, right? I hope that all of you don't have these kinds of jobs. Follow your dreams. So just try to make them, turn them into goals. My life sucks, as Rixima mentioned. He used that expression, and that's a very slangish expression, slang, informal English. So don't use that very often, okay? And that means that your life is really terrible, very, very bad, okay? And hide all the posts means that, yeah, hide all the posts means that you don't want to see anything that that user has posted or has written. For our webinar, for everyone, this is your homework. I want you to think about these 3 questions in discussion. How is communication changing between people? And you might also want to think about the reasons why it is changing. Is it okay to talk to people you don't know? Maybe you do that and you think it's a great practice and you'd like to share it with us. How often do you start up a conversation with people you don't know? And how will people communicate in the future? So 3 questions you will have to ponder about for your webinar on Saturday. And just let's go through the, is it a question mark, Vartuhi, or an exclamation mark? Let's just go through these questions to see how much you remember. Can anyone name at least 4 forms of communication? So what have we learned today? 4 forms of communication in the chat box, very quickly. Oral communication, very good. Intranet, nice, That's not a type of communication though. Verbal, non-verbal, visual, face-to-face, internal, written, good. What's the difference between intranet and internet? Who can tell us? Nura, can you tell us very quickly?
Yes, I think what internet is a local communication with in a company with in the company.
Intranet is the company. Yeah, it's local communication network within the company. Yes. Internet is for.
Internet is for global communication, I think.
Correctly. Yeah, thank you. Which social networking website would you recommend that your friends should use for making a career? So, for example, if Bahram wants to make a career He should make use of LinkedIn. Very good, Noura, Varkuhi, Riximan, good job. And the last one, how do you call a web page that a business person writes? A web page, not a platform, a web page. Thank you, Gane. It's a blog, it's a business blog. Thank you so much for today's lesson. I wonder if you have any questions. If there are no questions, that was my pleasure to be with you today, and I enjoyed your virtual presence tremendously. See you on Saturday, and don't forget about your homework. Goodbye.